There are 4 fatal vulnerabilities you will be tempted to surrender in moments of love, friendship, or weakness, and every single time you do, you hand executioner's rights to an amateur. Friedrich Nietzsche recognized this long before he ever penned a single syllable regarding the mechanics of power. He observed the world systematically annihilate honest men, not because their convictions were flawed, but because their boundaries were porous. He witnessed how silence shields the sovereign while premature confession buries the vulnerable. Tonight, we expose the 4 profound truths you must permanently withhold from everyone. Not your closest confidant, not your bloodline, not even the person sleeping inches away from you. The contemporary world does not incentivize authenticity. It rewards absolute, unyielding control. The exact microsecond you forget this axiom, you cease to be a competitor. You become prey. Recall the last time you permitted someone unrestricted access to your inner sanctuary. Perhaps it was a visceral dread, perhaps an unpolished ambition, or a psychological wound you presumed had healed. Eventually, that exact vulnerability was weaponized against you, mutated into a subtle mockery, a strategic lever, or a quiet, condescending smirk in a room where you once felt secure. That sudden sting wasn't a mere betrayal. That was the universe enforcing an unwritten law. Every piece of yourself you expose prematurely becomes a tool for your eventual subjugation. Nietzsche despised comfortable delusions. He championed cold, architectural truths, the kind that fortify your psychological armor by forcing you to confront reality first. True dominance is not loud. The supreme individual is the one who has mastered the discipline of absolute silence, not because they lack perspective, but because they comprehend that overexposure is nothing less than psychological suicide. The first shield is your structural ambition. The moment you articulate your precise destination to the world, you inadvertently summon 2 distinct classes of adversaries: the stagnant, who seek to decelerate your momentum out of pure envy, and the predatory, who attempt to usurp your position out of existential dread. Nietzsche conceptualized ambition as an internal incandescence, a fire that must rage in absolute privacy before it can illuminate the external world. To announce your grand strategy prematurely is to grant cowards the luxury of time to organize their sabotage. Elite operators never broadcast their blueprint. They allow their monumental results to execute the talking, because final outcomes cannot be sabotaged the way raw intentions can. Silence is not hiding. Silence is a devastating strategy. Keep your grandest designs hidden in an impregnable fortress. The second shield is your internal trauma. This truth cuts deeper because modern culture preaches the exact opposite. You are constantly bombarded with messages urging you to be fragile, to display your lacerations, and to exhibit vulnerability to anyone offering a superficial display of empathy. But Nietzsche delivered a chilling counterwarning. Suffering paraded before the wrong audience does not facilitate healing. It provides them with leverage. There exists a specific insidious demographic that thrives on your perpetual stagnation. They do not desire your restoration. They crave your dependency, because your deficit elevates their perceived superiority. Notice how their tone subtly shifts when you falter. They become meticulously attentive, not out of genuine benevolence, but because your temporary paralysis validates their fragile ego. Real fortitude is not the absence of suffering. Real fortitude is enduring the crucible in dark isolation, refusing to transform your private battles into cheap entertainment for an audience that hasn't earned the right to witness your resurrection. The third shield is your imminent strategic move. This is where the lesson transitions from pragmatic advice into dangerous high-stakes psychology. You must never unveil your next tactical maneuver, not your operational blueprint, not your financial calculations, nor the quiet adjustments you execute while everyone assumes you are stagnant. Power belongs entirely to those who execute, while the masses are locked in perpetual debate. The market is saturated with individuals who exhaust their momentum explaining their potential before they've even initialized the process. They treat transparency as a virtue, oblivious to the fact that it is a tactical liability. No legendary commander ever delivered their battle plan to the opposition prior to engagement. To disclose your method of ascent to a rival is to hand them a precise map, straight to your throat. You owe no one a preview of your trajectory. Let them be blindsided by your monumental success rather than forewarned by your vocal declarations. The fourth shield is your core, emotional trigger. This is the ultimate secret weapon, the defining boundary separating those who command their destiny from those who are consumed by external forces. You must never, under any circumstances, reveal what truly destabilizes you. Never expose your primary insecurity, your psychological trigger, or the specific narrative that can disrupt your composure in a matter of seconds. The moment an adversary maps your emotional baseline, they no longer require superior strength to dismantle you. They merely require the precision to press that single, unprotected button. This is the most calculating form of manipulation, occurring far more frequently than the uninitiated realize. People are constantly auditing your behavior. They meticulously observe your micro-expressions, your reactions to specific provocations, and your response to calculated rejection. Once they identify the psychological lever, they will pull it deliberately. Whenever they seek dominance over your state of mind. Nietzsche's entire philosophy of self-mastery is an antidote to this exact vulnerability. If you fail to govern your internal reactions, you guarantee that someone else will learn to manage them for you. Pause and internalize this profound reality. These 4 prohibitions are not isolated regulations. They are a single, universal law, manifesting through 4 distinct dimensions. The law dictates that information is the ultimate currency of control, and every critical detail you surrender gratuitously is an explicit piece of sovereignty you permanently abdicate. The world rarely penalizes you for being formidable. It punishes you for being predictable. The moment your competitors can accurately forecast your ambition, your trauma, your imminent moves, and your psychological triggers, you cease to be a complex force. You become a highly readable pattern, and patterns can always be neutralized, managed, and defeated. This is precisely why highly capable, well-intentioned individuals find themselves exploited repeatedly by identical archetypes wearing different faces. It is not an accidental cruelty of fate, it is the inevitable consequence of unchecked openness. Openness without strategic wisdom is nothing short of an open invitation to your own downfall. Nietzsche never advocated for absolute paranoia. He demanded calculated discernment. Trust must be systematically earned through the cold passage of time, never granted through the volatile peaks of temporary emotion. Most people surrender their most lethal secrets during fleeting moments of superficial comfort or emotional desperation, catastrophically confusing proximity with character. By the time the illusion dissolves, the structural damage is irreversible. Let us penetrate the darkest layer of this dynamic. The most catastrophic threat is rarely the overt adversary explicitly seeking your demise. It is the close associate who systematically harvests your secrets under the meticulous guise of unconditional care. A minor vulnerability shared over coffee, a strategic frustration confessed during a late-night conversation. On their own, each disclosure appears entirely inconsequential. But when synthesized over months or even years, These fragmented confessions construct a highly detailed, flawless psychological map of your entire existence. And the exact moment your utility expires, or worse, the moment your rapid elevation begins to threaten their static equilibrium. They will execute that data, not with chaotic rage, but with cold mathematical precision, striking precisely when and where. It will inflict maximum paralysis. This is the exact reason Nietzsche respected strategic distance. Not emotional coldness, but calculated distance. The sovereign decision to reveal the depths of your psyche slowly, intentionally, and exclusively to those rare individuals who have survived the crucible of time and proven they possess the capacity to hold the weight of your truth. How do you implement this architectural philosophy in your daily operations? You do not retreat into secretive paranoia driven by fear. Instead, you adopt an elite selectivity driven by pure wisdom. There is a vast, irreconcilable difference between hiding from the world out of weakness and protecting your empire through absolute mastery. The most formidable individuals on this planet are not emotionally detached. They are simply exceptionally careful. They engage seamlessly, they communicate effectively, and they project warmth. Yet, there remains an unmappable quadrant of their mind that the world will never witness. A private, fortified citadel, where their authentic ambition, deep pain, grand strategy, and primary vulnerabilities reside entirely untouched by external hands. This is not a directive to live dishonestly. It is a blueprint to become entirely undefeatable. Because every titan who has ever risen above generational suffering, every visionary who built a global empire when the masses claimed it was an impossibility, understood one brutal reality long before they achieved global prominence. Silence fiercely protects what reckless speech ruthlessly destroys. Your grandest visions do not require a public audience to mature. Your deep psychological wounds do not require external witnesses to achieve restoration. Your operational strategy requires zero external validation to achieve absolute market dominance. And your vulnerability needs to be known by no one on earth except you. And the absolute highest, most disciplined version of yourself, capable of conquering it. The next time you experience the overwhelming impulse to explain your trajectory, to defend your long-term plans, or to expose your scars in a desperate pursuit of validation, stop. Ask yourself one sovereign question. Are you surrendering this critical power because it accelerates your internal growth, or because you are simply starving for temporary attention? The world does not require a complete viewing of your blueprint to respect your authority. It simply needs to confront your undeniable, unarguable results. Guard your ambition, shield your pain, conceal your next move, master your weakness. Not because you fear the masses, but because you finally embody the singular truth Nietzsche spent his entire existence trying to instill within the elite. Power is never loud. Power is never desperate. And supreme power is never fully revealed.